Hi, I'm Kevin Tetz with Paintucation, and you are listening to Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. That's what you got to do. You got to get it out there. You got a tool idea, do it. Get it 3D printed, get it prototyped, get it in use, get it in somebody's hands, get it in the market, patent it later, whatever. It's first to market anyways, which holds the IP.
Right.
So my best advice to anybody is if you have an idea, you have something you want to promote, jump on it.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Welcome to Gearheads and Gasoline, powered by Redline Oil and AMD. I'm Barry Alt with Motorhead Digital, and my co-host is Annette Bauer with Annette Bauer Creative. We're excited to welcome Kevin Tetz, the owner of Paintucation, to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Welcome, Kevin.
Great to be here, Barry. We've talked about this for a long time, and I'm glad it's finally happening. It's nice to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So it's been like you said, we've definitely been trying to make this happen for quite some time. So it's exciting to have you on the show. I know that you've got a crazy busy schedule, and it seems like every time I'm online, I see you somewhere new doing something really cool and talking with some really great people.
It's an illusion.
So we're excited to have you.
Well, very good. Very good. So yeah, we're going to talk about some interesting things, and I'm excited to to be in the same room virtually with you guys. And if I can help anybody with anything, I'm always happy to do that.
Awesome.
And it works out for us. We'd love to do it in person, and that's in California. I'm in New York. I can't remember where you are though.
I'm everywhere, Barry. I'm everywhere.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm about 30 miles south of Nashville in Columbia, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Right
Yeah, we're looking at moving to Tennessee here in the next 3 to 5 years, and we're bringing the right perspective, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So buy now. Find your real estate and buy it now. Despite what the markets are going to tell you, there's no signs of anything slowing. Tennessee is really interesting. It's geographically central. It's a good climate. Even in the 2008-2009 marketing debacle that happened and the recession, Nashville was neutral, if nothing else. But this area has been seeing boom for more than a decade. So jump on it.
Yeah. I've been watching the market for like the last 5 years, and it's even changed so significantly in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we always kick off every podcast with a little bit of a different question, and that is, what's your favorite drink?
My favorite what?
Drink.
Adult or non-adult?
Your
Doesn't
choice.
matter.
Wow, you stumped me with that. I'm car guy. We're waiting for car questions. So my favorite drink, I have to say, it's migrated. It's got to be coffee. Coffee is the elixir of life. It's the stimulator of neuron paths. It's my waker upper in the morning. And I thought I was going to go beer, but I think coffee. Beer a close second for sure. And I have never met a beer I didn't like, but there's some that I prefer more. But yeah, it's got to be coffee.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was not a coffee drinker forever until like 2018, 2019. I always liked the smell of it until I went to an event and was the night before I was up till 3 a.m. and definitely needed some coffee when the event started at 9 o'clock with drums. So ever since, coffee in the morning and a beer or wine and old fashioned now and then. Right, Annette?
Hey, an old fashioned. That's really good. There's some really good craft bourbons here in Tennessee, and there's one that's one of my favorites is Chattanooga whiskey. They're a malt liquor. They're a malt bourbon, and it's a really nice finish on the back end.
Nice.
Nice.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
for sure. So Kevin, you've got a long history on TV and everything. And a lot of times we get into how you got into the industry, but we're going to be here for probably 45 minutes, an hour. Don't have all that time to get into all that. So one of your biggest things right now, and we see you online all over the place with your explainer videos for Paintucation, and you started that back in 99. Was there a moment that really pushed you to get that going and go for it, and why you did that?
When you see a need in the market for your products, you need to jump on it. If you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach, do it. I cannot tell you how many people that have come up to me over the years. We're 26 years now with Paintucation. I have had countless people say, yeah, I had that idea. I was going to make a video on how to paint a car, but I just never did it.
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to do it. My video was not any better than anybody else's. As a matter of fact, I can cite you several different videos that are better than mine, better production, arguably better content, but I knew that I had a great idea. I knew there was a need in the marketplace. And, there's a book out right now. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim, right? And so that's what you got to do. You got to get it out there. You got a tool idea, do it. Get it 3D printed, get it prototyped, get it in use, get it in somebody's hands, get it in the market, patent it later, whatever. It's first to market anyways, which holds the IP.
Right.
So my best advice to anybody is if you have an idea, you have something you want to promote, jump on it. Don't feel for when the time is right, because guess what? The time is never going to be perfect, but you got to do it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's building the plane on the way up, right? Getting things going and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and don't fear failure. Some of the most influential people out there and richest people in the world can tell you about all the failures they had, right?
Well, and here's the thing about that. And this relates directly to everything that we'll ever talk about ever, whether it's a private conversation or this podcast. Failure is a tool. It's the most important tool. And you can't even look at it as a fail. Failure has shame attached to it. Right. But failure is just a demonstration of what didn't work that time, right?
Yeah.
So we have to embrace it. Embrace the suck. Guess what happens when we fall down? We get up. We get back up again and we dust off and we try it again. So failure it's marketing research. Change your mind on what failure means to you personally, as well as in the development of anybody's business. I don't care what the business is. Failure is so important.
Yeah, we've been brought up to look at failure as a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
It should be a learning tool, right? And not to get you down. Back to your education and things like that. Back in the 80s, now I'm dating myself, I went to a local tech school at night, took night school to learn how to paint, because I painted like 5 cars in my garage and got all the stuff and learned how to do it, and they turned out pretty good. Realized that it's not what I want to do for a living or every day. So, but I did learn a lot from that. But before the internet, that's all there was here. And if the school wasn't there, I don't know how I would have figured it out. Right now, with the internet and Paintucation and other tools out there, it's a lot easier. Just you got to find the right stuff, right? When did you really realize that you had a breakthrough in the industry, whether it's with the TV work you've done or Paintucation or whatever?
What really talked to me about the fact that I had something and I was on the right path and there was a future in it for me was when I reached the crossroads and I was still full-time in collision repair. I was a painter at a busy GM dealership. I had 2 helpers and 2 spray booths, and we were cooking with gas. We turned a lot of work, and I was a flat rate technician. And if you know what that means, you can make a really good living doing that. Mm-hmm. And, collision repair is no different today. You can still make a really good living doing that. I teach courses and I'm releasing courses for collision repair fundamentals. When I reached the crossroads, and I tell this story, and it's not even a metaphor. It is, but it's an actual thing that happened to me. I was walking into the spray booth. My phone rang. And I had a cell phone in one hand and a spray gun in the other, and I started talking into the spray gun. And and it was an epiphany. It was like, something's got to give here. And so my wife and my wife's my life partner and my business partner, and we looked at the books. I was making a 30% more from my part-time hustle with Paintucation instructional videos than I was in a busy collision shop. And so we looked at it. And I said, I got to do it. We got to try. We got to at least give this an honest shot. And there was some smoke about some TV shows. And there was, I was a walk-on guest on a couple of shows, and I was doing freelance writing. And so I'm an automotive journalist and all that stuff. And I had done a couple projects for Stacey David on the Trucks show.
Mhm.
And, he got my video company out there and all this was gelling. And I said, I got to do it. I got to do it. The signs from the universe were there. And that was the crossroads. And it wasn't nice. It wasn't a good feeling. I was stressed out to the max. I was at my threshold psychologically, physically. I was sleep deprived. And, my wife had a small business at the same time. And it was just too much. So sometimes you got to hit that pressure relief valve and you got to let some pressure off and then narrow your focus. And it was a leap of faith. It was a huge leap of faith, but it was also a thing that showed me that it was worth a shot. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
You've done a lot of TV. How did that shape Paintucation? I've seen a lot of videos that you've done either with AMD or Paintucation online and social media. How does that shape the TV time, right? Because it's a different industry, right?
Yeah.
Than just doing social media. How did that shape your direction since then, since you were on TV?
Television focused the tool. It sharpened the blade for me. The process of television, and I have a background as a professional musician as well. I started playing music when I was an early teenager, then gigs we were terrible. We weren't a very good band, but we were getting paid at, the Elks Lodge or wherever we were. But so a performance career was nothing new to me, but the television exposure, it brought me into another level. I had a self-produced instructional video called Paint Your Own Car. And the guy that shot it and edited it for me, Mike Morlock, was a professional videographer. He had a business. He would do weddings and local TV commercials. So Mike was credible. He was good at what he did. And, we had this partnership thing, and we can talk about that in a while, because it was marketing 101, honestly, that got that together, because I couldn't afford to pay for that video. So I bartered the video, and bring that up later if you want to, because that's a very powerful tool. But jumping into television, I learned really quickly that I was kind of brand new again. So this is the short version of the story, believe it or not. I made friends with the editors. I made friends with the shooters. I paid attention to what producers and directors were doing, and I took some big boy lessons. I put myself through editing school because it was that important for me as a talent to understand the process and what everybody else in the room needed from me. It's not just looking into the camera and smiling and having a great performance. It's utilizing space, making sure that your physicality, you're squared to the camera. You're not talking to the camera like where's the microphone? Don't be over all those things that they take a long time to learn. If you're paying attention, the lessons will be taught to you. It was a really interesting time for me because television, like I said, it sharpened the blade and it taught me so much more about presentation. The good news is that all of that is out and available now to anybody listening that's thinking, well, yeah, KT's been on TV for 20 years. Of course he's going to be good at it. No, that's BS. KT's been on TV for 20 years working at it and trying to get better at it every time I'm in front of a camera. And all those tools are out there and easily available. There's so many coaches out there. There's so many opportunities to learn these skills. So there's no excuse. There's no excuses.
No excuses. So
you
with
have
that
to
said,
apply
go ahead.
yourself, right? Like that's a big part of it and we
Yeah.
also talk about with youth engagement, right? Is that like you have to apply yourself. You've got to work for it. Like there is no easy button. There is no, you're going to trip and fall on the opportunity and your life is magically going to change. Like sometimes an opportunity does come along, but that doesn't change the fact that you absolutely have to work for it.
Yeah, you do. And it's really interesting what's happening. There's this current generation of social media promoters, entrepreneurs, videopreneurs, influencers, all of this crowd of people that have this at their disposal. Amazing tool. It's amazing broadcast capability. We've got international distribution right here, folks. Guess what? Again, no excuses, but there's generations of people now that are very comfortable talking into that thing and basically selling themselves. And I don't mean that in a bad connotation. I mean marketing and promoting ourselves. And let's face it, every meeting is an audition. Every time that we're in front of a camera, it's a performance. So we have to make those worlds do this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And ironically, the older generation is the one that really has the tougher time getting in front of the camera versus, like you said, the younger generation is like, yeah, I got this. I'm good. But the older generation is like, wait, you're going to judge me. I feel really vulnerable. I think this has to be perfect. When in reality, it absolutely doesn't.
No. And in fact, it's welcomed more if it's imperfect because it's then more relatable. So my generation and people older than me and even a generation younger than me, we grew up with an us and them mentality. It was people that were on TV and the rest of us aren't. So there was this separation and this hierarchy thing that happened. And it was this coveted thing to be on oh my gosh, that person on television. It was this thing that was unobtainable. And it was such a special thing to have been a TV presenter or a host or a spokesperson or in a commercial or something like that. The gloves are off now. So we have this paradigm that's stuck in the back of our head that we don't belong there, and it's garbage. We have to unlearn that.
Yeah.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
It's interesting because Annette, you mentioned exactly what I was going to say. There's a lot to learn. Even I did a piece before Thanksgiving that I recorded on my phone for our podcast and never put it out there because I'm like, what the heck? I don't like this. And then that said, just put it out there. But what you said about learning the different aspects on the TV set, get out there, shoot it. Just think about the basics of looking into the camera and being square to the camera and your lighting and stuff. Don't get too technical and too deep or you'll never do it, right? Mm-hmm. And just get it out there. I'm even learning that myself, right? I'm one of the older generation that I hate the sound of my voice. I've gotten past that, but recording something and getting out there. But even, for everything that we're talking about here is guys that have been in the business for years and want to start getting on social media, just do it. And I'm sure you have somebody young in your shop, working in your shop that is like, I got this. Come on, let's go do it. Right. Ask them, ask the younger people. Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, I've noticed is you're very authentic. How does that play into what you're doing on screen, how you share on social media, how people should think about that?
One of my favorite quotes is, if I tell the truth, I can get by with a very short memory. I don't have to make anything up. I don't have to lie about anything. All I have to do is be able to sit in what I'm an expert in. And also to understand that I don't know every dang thing, that there's going to be things that I am a student of. And that's one of my favorite things is I've always tried to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. I don't want to be the hot shot in the room. I don't want to be the rock star in the room. I want to be surrounded with people that have attained a much higher level of success than me because you know what? They're dropping crumbs for me. So a couple of different things. We have to become comfortable with not knowing everything and humble enough to be able to say it out loud, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Nobody comes out of the womb an expert in anything. It's, it's an acquired skill. And I have people tell me all the time, oh, paint and body, it's voodoo, blah, it's magic, you're such an artist. And I say, garbage. It's not true. It is not a talent. It's an acquired skill. And if you hold still long enough, I can teach it to you. It's muscle memory and common sense, and that's it. And once people wrap their heads around that, then they shed off those layers of insecurity and those barriers that we put up for ourselves. So the authenticity thing, Barry, it's like I got really tired. I got really tired of trying to be and trying to put up a front. And, even especially now with social media. So after I left formal television, cable television, and, we were produced TV. We did 30-minute episodes, and it was 22 and a half minutes of content with bumps intro and then an exit and all that type of
Right.
stuff. So we had very little time to tell a really complex story. And so we were in presenter mode all the time. And my buddy Ian Johnson, I worked with on Power Block for years and years. He's an off-road expert, and he's a really, really great technician as well. He's got a Motor Trend show now. He's one of the only ones left on Motor Trend. But we did a social media broadcast. My show was called Hands on Cars. And we sat down for production meetings, and we were doing a couple of stand-ups, and that's basically turned to the camera and say, here's what we're going to do. He shut me down. He said, no, shed that. You're not on TV anymore. You're talking to me. Talk to me, not the camera. And that was a paradigm shift for me. It was very hard to peel back that layer of, that lower glottal voice. People don't trust that anymore. People want to talk to somebody that's relatable, and they don't want to be talked at either. So those things, I'm not going to say it's hard to learn, but we just have to kind of just calm down and just, relax and, just let it go. And then just talk, just say something. Just tell me what you're going to do. And that's my favorite channels are the ones that on YouTube specifically are the ones that I feel like I'm in the same room with that person. Right.
Right. It doesn't seem scripted, right? They're just having a conversation. Cool. How has the all of this wrapped up? You do a lot of stuff for AMD. How has all that helped with Paintucation, AMD, how you're getting yourself out there, how other shops should think about that?
Like I said, we have this. This is such an important tool. We have access to everybody's marketing team. We have access to everybody's distribution. We have access to everybody's technicians, and we can meet them on social media in a moment. And we can not mind people for content, but the networking aspect of it. I've always said the automotive aftermarket is a huge industry, but it's a small world. And business meetings happen between friends. The whole aftermarket is a bunch of mom and pop businesses that's tied together to about a $60 billion annual tune. And it's really important to realize that the best business deals are made maybe over an old fashioned or a handshake or a piece of fried chicken or in the pits at a drift competition. It's networking 101, and it's being relatable and being genuine. And if we have to pitch honestly. If we have to try and get sponsorship for something, we just have to reassure people that we're not full of crap and that we mean what we say. And that's really the nucleus of it. And if we can come to terms and be honest with ourselves and with everybody else, good things are going to happen. And if you have an honest product, if you have something that's genuine that you have either for sale or for market or a service, and you go about it in a genuine way, and you genuinely want to help people will respond to that. So I'm oversimplifying it, I know, but it's a combination of we have this accessibility and the ability to network with anybody that we want to in a moment's notice. So do it. Like I said, step up, step off, do it, and be genuine about it. And you're going to hear no more than you're going to hear yes, but you're going to hear some yeses.
Yeah. And they could be the impactful, the right yeses, right? Like you mentioned with social media, like we have access to everything, and that network is our net worth. And so, like kind of tapping into actually something that happened to me yesterday. So I'm in the process of doing a truck build, and there is a company that I bought my lift from, McCoy's Suspension, and they produce a fantastic product. But I put a post up saying that I wasn't clear on what they had in their instructions versus what was happening in my actual build.
Yeah.
And I wasn't putting it out there to shame them. I actually put it out there like, hey, I want some feedback. Like, how do I, move forward with this? How do I make it better? And based off of my following and based off of a bunch of different people commenting on it, McGoy's actually called me and was like, hey, I saw your post. What's happening? How can we help you? And when you talk about like coming from a place of service, that's exactly where that's
huge.
right? Like, Yeah, it's like you're coming from, when you're building social media, when you're building your empire, come from a place of service, not a place of sales, because the sales will happen if you're coming from it with a genuine space.
I love that story, Annette, and that is absolutely how people should look at social media. It's really easy to rip somebody to death on social media. I see it every day. You guys see it every day. Everybody's watching this, sees somebody flame on somebody. This garbage doesn't work. The instructions were this, and I couldn't make it fit, and this fender doesn't fit, and these quarter panels are stamped backwards, and blah, 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 blah. Look what just happened. What your example is exactly what I was talking about with networking. And if you lead with integrity, and if you say, hey, I'm having an issue with this, maybe I've got the instruction book upside down. I don't know. Has anybody ever run into this issue before? You just did a service to the company. You did a service to anybody else that might be in the same pickle as you. And you went about it with some humility, and you got a great result. I'm telling you, that's a literal example for everybody that wants to network with companies. You will be in the good graces of that company from now on, or until you screw it up.
Right.
So, no, for real.
Yeah.
So, you made a super connection, and now you've got a bond of service with that company. And it sounds corny. We're going to be of service to our community. It's not corny, man. It's not. If you want somebody to treat you with dignity, respect, and a nice positive mindset, you have to send that out.
Absolutely.
It's just how the world works.
Yeah. And I finished off last night, after I had the conversation with a guy, which was, again, superb one. I didn't expect them to call me. I wasn't really I had no expectation of that, but the fact that it happened was wow, that's really incredible. Very rarely do I ever have that experience. So I made sure, before I ended my day yesterday, to repost something and say hey, they reached out to me. They gave me the solution that I was missing, right? That they're the best at what they do. And I super appreciate their service because I love the product. I was missing something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got one too. I'll be quick about this one. We're shooting in my YouTube studio, and we've got my garbage Camaro project, and I'm using a bunch of great parts on it. We're hanging a vintage air HVAC system in the car right now. The car's stripped down to a tub. It's a perfect time to do that. Pre-fit, test fit, mock-up, all those things. So I've got bags of stuff and the blister packs unopened because I don't want to lose anything, because I'm kind of an idiot and I lose things. So I'm keeping it all in baggies, and there's 4 spring clips that are not there. I can't find them. I did an hour's worth of reading the instructions, and so me and camera guy, spoiler alert, my wife is camera guy. She does all the videography for my company. So me and camera guy, I'm going, man, I got to call Vintage Air because they left out these spring clips and this little manifold that goes on the big HVAC box. I'm going to have to glue it on or something because these spring clips aren't there. And she looked at me, she said, did you open that bag right there? That was not open. We opened the bag up, and guess what was in there? These 4 spring clips. So not only did a new set of eyes save me from making an embarrassing call to Vintage Air, I could have got online, and I've seen guys do this. I could have got online and these blah, 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 and they haven't packed in China, and somebody missed that. They don't blah, 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 blah. Pilot error, ID10T alert, right? So those types of things, they happen all the time. And so now what I'm going to do is sing the praises of Vintage Air because they're a great company. And I'm going to thank them again at the next trade show or car show that I'm at, saying, great product, guys. And I'll tell them that story too, because everything becomes a metaphor to me, but that becomes a lesson that I need to learn over and over again.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We just, Armo, we went out to Vintage Air and got a tour. Rick gave us a tour. It's an amazing facility and stuff they're doing out there. But back to, did you open that package up? It's a guy thing. I'll ask my wife where something is, and she goes, it's in the closet over there. I can't find it. And she opens the door. It's right there.
Yeah.
At my house, we call that the man look. So whenever my husband looks for something and he can't find it, I'm like, did you me look or did you man look? And he was like, I man looked. And I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah, that's funny, man look. I'm going to remember that.
And you mentioned earlier about sponsorship. getting sponsorship and things like that. And that's our resident sponsor expert. And I'd like Ned to like address that a little bit for our audience, because a lot of people think getting a sponsorship and slapping a sticker on their car or whatever they're doing is all they need to do. And that's,
I'm so glad we're talking about this. I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the bigger things that we really talk about is, and I deal on the performance side of our industry. So I, coach a lot of our teams and consult with a lot of our drivers and owners to say, like, you need to remember that when you approach a company for a sponsorship, that you are essentially an employee of that company. You are the face of that company. But before you go with your hand out, go to them with a solution, right? Every company has a problem. You need to solve something for them, because they're reallocating funds in their marketing spend to figure out where they can fit you in and how that is going to most bring them an ROI, right? So when you go to them with a plan, figure out, like, how can I solve something for you? Is that, hey, I need to bring more people interested in a new program that you're rolling out that like you just started, or do you have a new product, or whatever that might be? But do a little bit of research, do a little bit of homework, and also align yourself with a company that you would use without a sponsorship.
So I want to lead with this. For every sponsored product that somebody receives in any world, that manufacturer or whomever donated that product or sponsored that product, it's not a donation, that's a very different thing. They've lost 3 times on that product. They've lost not only the value of the product, the space it held on the shelf, they've lost the sale that product would have gone to, and they've lost the back order on that, because somebody that wants it, that actually wants to buy it, now they can't have it because it's been sponsored out. So that humility needs to be in the back of everybody's mind when you're reaching out for sponsorship. And we see it all the time, and I have to really steel myself and take a deep breath and not fight back when people say, must be nice to get free parts. So I've been dealing in television and in magazines and all this stuff. And now this new world of being a social media influencer and YouTube and all those types of things. I've been in this world for a long time, to where sponsorships, they happen, and I'm not going to shy away. I'm not going to say, oh, I buy everything I have. I buy a lot of stuff, but I get sponsored parts too. A sponsorship is a brand partnership. It is not free parts. If you get free parts, then somebody forgot to write it down. So, and I've actually coached people on. I had a fellow reach out to me and say, man, I want to do this build. I want to launch it at SEMA and this and that. And I've emailed everybody. Nobody returns my calls. And we went down the rabbit hole with one vendor and one part. I said, well, how are you approaching them? Who are you talking to? Because the general info not the marketing department.
Right.
So find out who their marketing manager is. The first and foremost, make sure you're talking to the right person, because it might just be funneled into a junk folder because nobody knows who it is. So you might be shooting into the clouds in the first place, even if you have a valid reason for wanting a sponsorship that you can legitimately give back. Then how are you asking? What are you giving them in return? And you have to be able to promise more value than the monetary value of the part, whether it's exposure, CPM, continued relationships, your expertise, and your endorsement of these parts. Like in the racing world, the manufacturers want to be a part of a winning race team. So you got to have something. It can't just be the sticker on the quarter panel. You got to have and then the representation. There's no free parts. It is a brand partnership. And you better step up and make sure that you have your game straight, or you're going to get one sponsored part and it's never going to happen again. Talking with the marketing people at AMD, walking the floor of SEMA, and it was kind of disappointing to walk through the show field at SEMA. And I'm not going to name names here, but, get a nod. Hey, look at that one over there. Yeah, we've skinned that entire vehicle. Not even to mention, and in fact, a competitor's license plate on the vehicle. That's not how to do it, folks. That's not how to do it. We must step up. And honestly, here's the real truth, and I'll end with this. From a perspective like mine, many times it's less expensive to buy the part at full retail. And I'm talking about time as a currency, and I'm talking about the effort that it takes to really reciprocate, because it's a reciprocal relationship that you're building. Many times it's less expensive to buy at retail. And I like associating my brand, which I'm very proud of. I born it and raised it, and I'm growing it. I want to wrap my brand with other brands that have integrity. And that's how I go forward with being okay with getting sponsored parts, because I know 100% that I'm going to reciprocate, and I'm going to represent that brand with the integrity that I represent my own brand.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. This is Jason with AMD, and you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Check this out.
The example that I give a lot of my guys, because I, have guys that are everywhere from being sportsman category guys all the way up to pro mod, no prep, the whole thing. But, the thing I always remind them is, let's take an example of like Ford Motor Company, right? Like you say, I'm going to go to Ford and I'm going to ask Ford for a sponsorship, but now I'm going to tell them I'm going to put their logo on my trailer and on my swag and all these other places. Fantastic. That's not their problem, because Ford has their logo on 2 places on every single car on the road. Do you think exposure is their problem? Absolutely not. Do a little homework.
So, Annette, I want to correct you on that. Okay. They have it on 3 places.
Okay, but
Front,
still.
back, and the steering wheel, because I sat in my wife's ST the other day going, it's right in the middle of the steering wheel, and I believe it's on the back. I know it's on the front. So to address, it's interesting because Annette had mentioned this in one of our other shows, but Kevin, you talk about relationships and things like that. We're a digital marketing agency.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not a shop. We're not a race team, but we have sponsors. We have people supporting. We have a 69 Corvette that we're doing builds, but I built those relationships over the last 5 years, and all of a sudden people are saying, well, what do you need help with? We're just having conversations, but I've gone to Triple Crown. I've gone to Good Guys. I've gone to SEMA. I've been out there. I've shaken hands. I've had conversations. I went to dinner with people, but I wasn't going there to build that so I could get free stuff, right? Or discounted stuff. I was building that because I wanted to just meet these people, and I wanted to understand what they do and things like that. And stuff happened, right? Same with our sponsors for the podcast, right? So you have to build those relationships, and it's not just online. You got to get out there, buy an airplane ticket, go to a show, walk the show. Don't be scared to walk up to somebody that you see on TV and you're scared to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because they put their pants on one leg at a time.
That person's on TV. They want you to talk to them. They want you to say hi, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to cut you off, Barry, but I want to talk about this as well. This is like a leading with an open hand type of a story. Now, I'm working with AMD. My official title with Automotive Direct is I'm a brand ambassador. But so we do social media videos, we do installation videos for AMD Garage, and I use their parts on my cars, and they're alongside of me in many different ways. The way this started is that, like I said, it's a relationship business. It's a huge industry, but it's a small world. So Eddie and Jason, I know those guys. I know some of the people in upper management. And the Triple Crown, is right down the road from me. I'm in Tennessee. Hey man, let's do something. And I do educational products, and they had given me some takeoff panels that were, damaged or dented, so I could use in classes and in training. So we have this relationship already where we're doing things, and they're helping me when they can and all that type of stuff. Hey, Triple Crown's coming up. Do you want to come by the booth and sign or say hi or something like that? Sure, let's do that. Well, what is it going to cost? No, forget it. It's right down the road. I'll see you there. So right then I said, yeah, I will lend my personal brand to yours because I believe in you and you believe in me. Let's do that. No money exchanged hands for a calendar year. No money exchanged hands. And we were working together. So what are we going to do at the booth? Let's do something cool. I don't know. Hey, you guys know everybody. I know everybody. Let's do something. Let's open up the booth. Let's get a table and some mics, and let's do a builder's panel. Let's get the inside. All the heavy hitters are there. Chip's there, Dave Kindig's there, Jesse Greening's there, everybody's there. Steve Mank is there. Let's work the phones. Let's see if we can get everybody together for half an hour and have something that enthusiasts that pay their $25 to get in can talk to these guys, or the Q&A at the end, or get their insight into the pitfalls of aftermarket sheet metal. And we hit it on the head. The title of that first group talk was "The Problems with Aftermarket Sheet Metal." This is AMD doing it. They want feedback. They want to know. So again, we move forward with integrity. It was fun, man. We had hundreds of people and it just came out of nothing. It came out of a conversation. So after that, we were high as a kite. We were high-fiving and all that kind of stuff. So in the months after that, we said, hey, how do we keep this going? And then we had discussions on business and what it could be, and an official schedule and duties that I would perform, things that I would bring to the table. And that's how that brand ambassadorship, which is now in its second year, and I'm very proud to be associated with this company. But that's how it started. It started with goodwill, good energy, positivity, and being of service to our community of people that didn't have access to Chip Foose. And they got their picture made with him because he happened to be there for 45 minutes talking with us knuckleheads. So, so that's how those things happen when they happen in the right way. And I'm proud to tell that story because it was, if everything had just fallen down right from there and nothing ever happened again, it would still be an awesome thing to be a part of. And the other, I'll finish with this, Autometal Direct, AMD. When you see me at an event with them, we have AMD on this chest and we have Paintucation on this chest. And that was their design. They know that I'm into the skilled trades training. They know that I've been training and helping people and trying to empower people to come up in this industry for many, many years. They wanted to align themselves with my brand and co-promote my brand. I've worn a lot of shirts over the years. Nobody has ever put my logo right beside theirs at the same size. And Annette, in racing, you know how important that is. And that's so endearing to me. That hits me in the heart. And that makes me want to work harder for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's huge. I have a couple things on what you said about, I was at Triple Crown last year during that session, and I was right back behind the camera. I asked Chip Foose a question. He went into a long dissertation about overhauling and all the shops they use. It was very interesting how he answered that question and dug into it. Yeah. And that was fun. Also, I want to clarify something about my comment about companies providing us with parts or discounts. We are building we have a couple things going on. My 69 Vet and one of my team members, 69 Dart, that's going to be a drag and drive car that AMD has contributed to. We don't just take that stuff and park it. We promote it. We created Friends of MHD Garage. Our partner logos are on everything. I've got confirmation that I can use the logos. It goes out in every newsletter. It's on our shirts. And we do videos when we're doing installs and things like that. So you have to give back. It's a lot of work. And sometimes it takes longer than you think it's going to. Don't think of it as easy. Think of it as, it's helping your business. You're supporting them and things like that, for sure. Yeah. I want to talk about youth engagement and your thoughts about that, getting youth educated, getting them into the industry. We all know that a lot of shop classes gone away in schools. I think they're slowly coming back. There's been a shift recently, especially
it's happening.
Mike Rose talking about. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's even people that would give money to high-end colleges are shifting their thoughts, and even the U.S. government. Let's give this money to trade schools. I was like, almost fell over when I heard that.
Yep. Well, that was mandated out of high schools and colleges. And now everybody sees the backswing of the pendulum, and we're in trouble. Yeah. In the industry full of technicians, we're in big trouble. It's hitting us two ways. And, you ever want to listen to somebody talk about this with much more expertise than me, go to MicroWorks and any of his videos. Yeah. But what's happening is there's guys aging out of the industry that can't work anymore. Then there's people that are uninterested and are not entering into the industry. So our demographic is aging out and there's nobody coming in to replace. And so our job as instructors and influencers and inspirers is to not talk people into doing something that they wouldn't have wanted to do, but to let them know that it's a career path. That's not a death sentence, and that there's potential for an amazing career. I'm the poster child of a skilled trades career. giving me the foundation to go off and do this wild media career that I could not have dreamt up ever. And it's based off of my skilled trades foundation, period. Because I can sand and paint a fender, I now have a television career. Put that together. There's a string that attaches all of it. Yeah. So our job is to not dangle a paycheck in front of people, but understand that the motivations are different and that we need to motivate somebody into wanting this career. And, I spoke it was World of Wheels down in Birmingham. It was with AMD. And there was, they shipped a bunch of shop classes in, and there was 900 kids. I call them kids because I'm old, but there was 900 young people sitting there with undivided attention. I was one of the speakers. We did just a short presentation, and I asked for a show of hands how many people wanted to be a social media influencer. And I'm going to say that it was 75% of people that raised their hands. So, how do we inspire a generation of people that are uninspired? You got to meet them where they are, right? So you have to, what can you do as a social media influencer if you're a body shop knucklehead, right? Okay, so look at Brian from Paint Society. Look at Derek Bieri. Look at all these guys that have an automotive career foundation that have gone to do wild things. So we have to figure out a way to weave that together. And the other thing to say, I was talking about this in a meeting I had yesterday. In my generation, we were motivated by a financial reward, because that solved a lot of problems for us. And the thing was, can I make $100,000 a year? Can I make six figures? How can I make six figures? I've got to be an attorney to make six figures, blah, 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 blah. That was my motivation, and it still is. But it doesn't work like that anymore. Now, the biggest motivation to beyond Gen X and Gen Y is being of service and contributing to society. How does that correlate with automotive? It does. But we have to figure out how to uncover the layers of that onion and present it in a way to where you can be of service to your own personal community. The lady down the street that bumped into a stop sign and she needs her car fixed back, not only where it looks like it hadn't been wrecked, but safely. So her lane avoidance sensors still work properly and she's not going to do it again. That is the motivation that we have to present these days. It's a service opportunity for us. So, it's not a bait and switch. It's not a trick, but that's one of the things that motivates this new generation of technicians coming in. Money will follow. They've been raised to understand that. They're not going to be destitute like, my parents' generation or the parents before them. That it's a very different world that we live in. And there's a lot of pressures that have been alleviated from these next generations of people because they never grew up in a society that there was not a grocery store right down the road. Right. Now, we'll talk about food deserts in a different time and all that type of stuff. It's not all the same. But we have to meet them where they are. And guess where they are? I keep pulling this thing up. They're right here.
Yeah.
So, if I can talk about Paintucation for just a second here, my trade school programs, I met with trade school instructors for several years. I get to speak at trade school instructors conventions. I'm doing it again at the ASE conference in July. And I've been asking hundreds of instructors, what do you need? What do you need that's going to help you? And one of the biggest answers was, please give me something that's outside of my curriculum that I can show these kids as an example of how to do it right. Because we can go to YouTube and socials and we're going to find the guy with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and he's spraying a car with the mask off to the side because the cigarette will fall out of his mouth and he can't smoke while he's spraying. And he's in flip-flops and a cotton t-shirt and shorts and he's spraying two-stage urethane paints with a catalyst. That's not the example that people need, although that's everywhere. So my solution to that, we're laughing here. It's the truth. We're laughing because it's funny. The best stand-up comedians in the world tell the truth, right? So the solution to that was I need to provide a vetted, professional, well thought out, accurate, and engaging instructor's tool for these people to use in class. Kevin, I happen to be known. I can't help that anymore. People know me in the industry and all that type of stuff. And so I can use that to an advantage. Maybe they recognize me from my channel or socials or maybe their dad used to watch me on TV. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But that's just part of the package right here. So there's me demonstrating on how to do an effective plastic repair with proper PPE, proper equipment, best practice mindset, integrity woven into the lessons. And it's a 4.5-minute lesson.
Yeah.
That's my solution. So it's a powerful instructor's tool to where they no longer have to reach out to social media and hope and vet their own stuff. I've done it for them. I've served it up on a platter, and I've used the 5 mandated fundamental collision repair categories, as well as I'm so proud of this. I've been working for the past 2 years on getting my ASE accreditation so that I'm officially and nationally recognized with my training programs, and it's been granted to me. I am now ASE accredited. Thank you. You guys know how big that is. The fur is standing up on my arms just being able to say that out loud. It's huge. It's huge, and it's a gateway, and it allows me to take these tools that I've worked so hard on. It's literally my life's work, and now I can present them in an official way to where we don't have to have an argument with the college dean about whether it's vetted or whether it's safe to watch. So that's kind of the synopsis of what I'm doing. So I got a high school diploma, right? Let's back up a little bit. I worked on cars because I couldn't afford to buy them. My dad was a paint and body guy. I had fixed my pieces of junk so I could drive, and maybe with the hopes of having a girlfriend that I could take to the movie. And that's where my need to be a good automotive technician came from. And then I needed to make a living for my family. All those things set in motion this, I wanted to be the best technician that I could. And then we get to dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we get to manifest our aspirations from that. Get the foundation. Then the sky, whatever, the world is your oyster, whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it. But from me being I barely graduated high school with an industrial arts program, and I was in drama club too, but whatever that was, I don't even know. There's some therapy sessions that involve that. But to go from that Kevin to this Kevin to where I just announced to you that I'm now an ASE accredited training provider is possible because I'm good at bodywork.
Yeah.
I'm not good at bodywork because I was born with it. I'm good at bodywork because I studied, I took the cert classes, and I did the training, and I put in the work. So there, bam, nutshell.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Annette Bauer Creative. At Annette Bauer Creative, we understand the power of visual storytelling in transforming brands and driving growth. From capturing the essence of your products and services to showcasing the unique solutions you offer, our professional imagery and reels help bring your brand to life. Fuel your brand and ignite your vision at AnnetteBauerCreative.com.
That's awesome. And that's awesome to hear, and something that young people can think about, that there's a lot of work that goes into that. And one thing, a couple things I wanted to touch base. I went to school for auto services. I took auto body at night. I found that life happened and it just wasn't for me. But now I work in the industry because we're digital marketing. I did that for years, and I love this industry and I really enjoy it. But the benefit of my education in high school, and I only did high school as well, right? This was all during high school, is I can talk to people like yourself and others in the industry, and I know what I'm talking about. I'm not making crap up, right? But we took at Spring Carlisle recently, myself, Chris Compton, our chair-elect for ARMO, and Lou Santiago, they had a bunch of, they brought in some tech school kids to talk to us. And Lou talked to them about the industry. I talked to them about, look, in the industry, we're working to meet you where you are. But on the other side, if you're working for a shop with an older owner or whatever, you have to meet the owner too, right? You have to put in that extra work. You may sweep the floor. You're not going to go in there and be the fabricator, the painter right off the bat, unless they hire you to do that and you've had some experience, right?
Yeah.
Annette and I have a story with one of our other guests where there was a guy that wants to have his own performance shop. And he came in and he worked during the day, and the owner says, look, if you want to learn some extra stuff, we're working on a side project we work on nights and weekends. I'm going to be working on it this weekend. A number of times he told him, come on, help, I'll show you. During the day, I don't have the time to educate you on this, or this. But on the weekend, I'll work with you. The guy never showed up, never put in extra time. He's no longer working there. And he was a friend before he got hired there. So you got to put in the extra work. You got to want to learn, and you will get to where you are, right? And one thing I said when I was talking to students, there's a lot of jobs, if you're taking collision and you're learning collision and bodywork and things like that, it's not just working at a dealership, okay? there's also opportunities once you get your skills to work at performance shops, build shops, do some really cool shit. But if you find that you love the industry and you don't like to wrench or paint or fabricate, but you want to stay in the industry, there's a lot of other opportunities in the back office, back of the house stuff. Social, every shop needs help with social media and marketing and things like that. Like you said before we got on, there's a lot of shop owners that try to do everything, and they're slowly realizing, I'm going to focus on what I do best. I need to get somebody, whether it's internal or they bring somebody external in.
Yeah. So here's a powerful lesson that it brought to mind. And Annette, you may know who Ray Beadle is at Texas Motor Speedway. One of my producers in television was a producer for a show called NHRA Today for many years on the road. But before that, he was a media and marketing director for Mr. Beadle's racetracks. And when he got hired, he went out to Mr. What am I going to do? How can I help? What's my first day? What's my first day? Mr. Beadle took him to an empty warehouse, and it was probably 20,000 square feet, and brought him in, walked him in the door, and there's a push broom and a dustpan. He said, there you go. There's your first job.
Oh, sweep the whole warehouse. Yep.
And he knew right then that he was vetting him. He was a test. If he's going to sweep half it and then walk away and go home, so I didn't sign up for this, that's a huge lesson. You may be vetted out. You may be put to a test by somebody. And he said, I knew what time it was right then. And I swept that floor. You could have eaten peanut butter off the floor without getting dust in your mouth. And he said, I did the best job on that floor. And and I cleaned the broom after I swept it. And when he came back to me hours later, and that warehouse looked like a brand new warehouse with nothing on the floor, then we went to work.
Right.
So that's not my lesson. I wish I had experienced that. I wish I would have known how I would have stepped up to that, or not, because that's a real test. So that's, again, it's a literal example of a metaphor of a lesson that you may face. You may be tested, right?
Oh, absolutely. I used to run a warehouse and had employees working for me. I had a part-timer working for me, and I had him ask him to do something once, and he says, you didn't hire me to do that. And I said to him, we hired you to do this, this, and this, but there's always that and that and that isn't listed. We can't list everything that you're going to do. If you have a problem with that, guess what?
When I first started working on race cars, and this was, gosh, I date myself now, back in the 90s, at the time, the very first car, believe it or not, that I actually crewed on, that I actually worked on, was a Pro Mod car.
And I just got to say, Pro Mod guys are crazy. Pro Mods are crazy.
The owner was like, obviously I don't really know what you can do. There was at that time, very much so, the big stigmata, you're a female, you really don't know much about automotive, the whole thing. And I was like, look, I'll help with anything. Teach me. I'm a sponge. Let's go. Yeah. I'm ready. And he was like, great. He was like, there is a lot of things under the car that most of us guys don't want to do. Let's be real. And that, also use the whole, we can't fit. Yeah, right. You can fit. You just don't want to do it. It's okay, But one of those things was, okay, obviously there's a crap ton of rubber in the tubs from, during burnouts and runs and whatnot. And he was like, get under there, clean all that stuff out. And I was like, cool, whatever. I didn't care what it was. It was, let me get in, let me learn, and let me contribute, and let me see where I can fit in to help you. And again, that was back in the 90s. I haven't stopped since. I'm not gonna stop. It's where my passion is. But you gotta be willing to do the dirty crap to get to where you want to go.
And you can't even look at it like a dirty job. You have to look at it like it's part of the solution. There's two sides of that, and nothing is two-sided. You're part of the solution or part of the problem. Right. Pick one. So we can be part of the solution and clean the rubber out from under the, or whatever, or grease up the wheel bearings, or whatever we can do. But to know that that's contributing to that 4.5 second run with the W at the end of it. Come on, man. You just shaved probably 36 ounces worth of weight off of that car. That might have been the difference in the ET. So there's no such thing as a small contribution.
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, well, if initially his comment was, I don't know if this is something you're going to want to do. Again, going back to you're a female, most girls don't want to get dirty. And I was like, I don't really care. Whatever it is, point me in the direction and shoot, I'll go.
Yeah. And well, and wrongfully on their part, but they assumed a lot about you.
Yeah.
And they were wrong about that. And we have to stop that as well. We have to check ourselves in this society where everybody has equal opportunity. Everybody has an opportunity to market. Everybody should have the ability to walk through the door. Everybody, whatever skin color you have, if you're tall, if you're short, whatever gender that you have, everybody deserves at least the humility of being considered on the same level. And that takes work. It takes work on a personal level to not assume the worst, but to assume the best and then have the worst be proved. And then we can work on that, right? So again, it's an unfinished book and it's always going to be, but we have to work on personal growth ourselves. And if you think that's woo-woo and doesn't factor into turning wrenches, wrong. Right. Wrong again. To have a positive mindset, to have a productive mindset, it's a conscious choice. We have to create the reality in which all things are possible in order for all things to be possible.
Yeah. So I have a program that I am in the process of building that really does help females in the industry bridge the gap between like when they come out of high school or when they come out of college. And they're trying to get, into the automotive space. They've got interest there, but there isn't a whole lot of options for the younger generation right now to make that jump, right? So like you can't get into SEMA if you're not part of a SEMA company. You can't, there is no connection there. And my part of SBN and being on with SEMA is helping them understand like we have to bridge that gap. There's got to be a way for us to bring in that other generation so that they understand where they can contribute. But also a big part of that, which you mentioned before, was that we have to educate everybody to say, like, when you come into the automotive space, it doesn't mean that you have to wrench on the car. There's so many different things that you can contribute to, right? Like you could be an engineer, you could be here's a great example. Last year at SEMA, I met a gal who said that she was in the fashion industry, but she really loved the automotive space and really wanted to get more involved in it. But she was like, I just don't really feel like there's a place for that. And I'm like, wrong, absolutely wrong. I'm like, fire suits still have to be made. I was like, that still comes from the fashion space.
Sada spray equipment several years ago came out with a spray suit that actually fits a different shape than this one. Right. And it's a women's spray suit, and it's absolutely, we're not built the same, right? And it was a need in the industry it took a long time to be recognized, but they've done it. And so there you go. There's a case in point example for your person that has got a fashion background to be part of a very, very necessary improvement in our industry. Yeah. Well, I hope that we'll have many conversations over the horizon, Annette, because again, with my accreditation now I can have a different conversation with SEMA Education Board. Yeah. And I need to utilize the megaphone of SEMA in order to not only promote my company, because let's face it, we have to promote it. Otherwise, I built it for me to enjoy, and that's not why I built it. So to promote my company, but also raise awareness to skilled trades opportunities for everyone. And I fully plan on awarding scholarships for my system. Crawl, walk, run. I'm still crawling. Right. But when we get up and we get running, by God, we're going to give back, and we're going to give back big. But I got to get the megaphone first. So hopefully over the horizon, we'll have some different conversations about this as well. And I'm excited about those opportunities. And
Kevin, with that said, I'm sure there's some councils and networks that would love to have you be a volunteer at large and get involved with those. Yeah. Especially FLN with the younger people, right?
Yeah, I joined the ARMO Council last year, and I'm proud that I did. And I've been a SEMA member for almost 30 years now.
Nice.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
Yeah. Nice. And it's important, every once in a while, that $350 check is like, I don't know, man. But it's important. The body, the fact that we're allowed to still drive around ICE engines in California, that is directly related to the SEMA lobby and all those things. So what we're contributing to is pretty important, and it's a privilege to be a part of that whole society.
Yeah. Yeah. We have an incredible industry that we belong to and that we get to contribute and be a part of. And it is absolutely 100% a privilege.
Yep, it is. And, we need to talk more people into taking a second look at it.
And unfortunately, a lot of people think SEMA is just the SEMA show. It's a big car show.
Right.
It's an industry event. Is a lot more that just happens to come with a hoop.
Well, these last few years, it actually now is a big dang car show at the end of the weekend with the SEMA Fest, which is great because, it used to be, let's face it, Friday, all the marketing people have gone home. It used to be Friday, well, here's my badge, and you give it to the truck driver or somebody's nephew that wanted to come in to see the show, and you're pretending your badge says, Dave Wilson, and your name is something completely different, and you pretend you're Dave Wilson just so you can go and see what Chip Foose built. Now they're finally embracing the fact that the public, the automotive public, has wanted to attend SEMA forever, and now as business people and manufacturers and media marketing people, now we can go and do our business from Tuesday to Thursday, and Friday is a public day. SEMA Fest is Saturday, and it's the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great way to be able to integrate the public in what has for decades been that you can't touch it. It's just one of those sought after events that you can't go to.
Well, and from a builder's perspective, if somebody wants to start up hang their shingle out there, they're a hot rod shop. To get a car displayed at SEMA, let's circle back to our first conversations about parts sponsorship. Sometimes there's $200,000 worth of parts on a vehicle, never mind labor. How are we going to do that when we're a 3-person shop and we want to display and let it be known that we build great hot rods? All that networking stuff, everything comes full circle with that. And if it's unobtainable to do that, then people aren't going to try. Right. So we have to make ways to, and then to build, 30 under 30, all the different things that SEMA has that focuses energy on young builders. And we have to have those empowering things. We have to make those decisions constantly to open doors and welcome people in. We have to.
Yeah.
Agreed. Absolutely. So we finish off every show with what we refer to as the speed round. So this is going to be whatever comes to mind first. Don't put too much thought into it. And we'll go with our first question, which is, what is your favorite driver, team, hot rod, muscle car, or truck?
Antron Brown. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What is your favorite tool in your toolbox?
Oh, my favorite tool is a oh my gosh, it's got to be. I've got a electric 10-inch belt sander. Changed my life. Yeah.
Nice. Never heard that. That's one I didn't hear coming.
What's your favorite racetrack, event, car show?
I've got to say NCM Motorsports Park Racetrack. It's a beautiful racetrack in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's right next to the Corvette Museum. What's not to love about there? I've been privileged enough to be on that track several times, working with Holly Performance and the TV shows that we did. It's a gorgeous racetrack. Yeah. Second favorite would be the one in Birmingham. What is it? The name escapes me right now. I fell and hit my head a couple years ago, and this happened. Anyway, but it's a beautiful track down in Birmingham by Talladega. Yeah. Anyway, but NCM Motorsports Park, beautiful track, elevation changes, chicanes, modeled after Le Mans. It's a beautiful, gorgeous racetrack, and they have spec days. They have instructor days. They have all kinds of driving training, and it's not just for rich guys with Corvettes.
Right.
Yeah, we actually went up there when we were at TripleCon last year, drove up one day because they were Holly was doing something up there. So we went up there and checked it out while we were at TripleCon. So it's a cool track. Yeah. Plus you can go to the museum and check out cool stuff.
Yep.
Nice. All right. So the last question that we have, this stumps everybody. So don't feel like you're going to be ousted if you don't have a quick answer. Question is, what is the best advice you've ever received and from whom?
Dun, 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 dun,
I know. Actually, I feel like we have the Jeopardy.
It's in the form of a saying, and it kind of sums up our conversation here. It's a phrase, and it goes, jump, and the net will appear beneath you.
I've never heard that before.
And to me, that sums it up. Don't be afraid. Don't be frozen. Don't wring your hands. You can do all those things. We can be trepidation. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is what we do with fear, how we act in the presence of fear, and how we make ourselves push through that threshold. And jump and the net appears beneath you. If you have that type of faith in yourself, even if you're scared to death while you're doing it, great things are going to happen. That's the guarantee that I was given with that, and I've used that as a mantra, and I shout that from the rooftops anytime that I can.
That's awesome. I've never heard that, but it absolutely makes sense.
It does, and based on conversation we had today, Kevin, yourself, Chip Foose, others, people shouldn't aspire to be people you see on TV. Don't expect that to happen overnight. It takes a lot of work to get even halfway there, right? Yeah. And sometimes stuff just happens, but you got to get out there. You got to meet people. You got to have conversations, right? And sometimes you got to sweep the big ass warehouse.
And sometimes you do, I mean, a career is not a job. A job is what you're doing that day. A career is how you string those experiences together and form a pathway. And you can wrap your passion in it, and you can surround yourself with the best people. A career is not a job. And so get a job in the trades. And it will present you, if your eyes are open, the most wonderful career path you could ever imagine.
100% agreed.
That's awesome. Well, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us today. Can you tell us how people can find you, learn about you, reach out to you, watch your videos?
So my website for Paintucation videos is paintucation.com. Google me. We're there. On YouTube, it's Paintucation by Kevin Tetz. Either just put in the search bar Kevin Tetz or Paintucation. Social medias, I'm at Paintetz, Paintetz on Instagram. Kevin, Hands on Cars with Kevin Tetz Facebook, my personal Kevin Tetz Facebook, and a Paintucation Facebook. So we're everywhere.
He's everywhere.
I'm hard to miss. We try and make ourselves available to people, and that's what it is. Maybe on our next conversation we can talk about actual methods on how to do self-promotion, and even maybe let's give some lessons out on how to be comfortable on camera. So I'm inviting myself back into your neighborhood, but I think those would be great conversations to have that would help people in marketing and promoting themselves.
And that's what we're here for. We want to help people coming into the industry, even shop owners and race teams that have been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah. We all learn from each other, right? Like that's the whole point of our industry, is not only to love what we do, be passionate about it, but to learn from one another and make it a greater space.
Yep. And there's techniques that we can pass on, how to stare down the barrel of a camera, how to have a short sentence instead of a rambling paragraph. I'm really bad at that, by the way.
Yeah, me too. How to ask one question at a time.
Yeah, Harry.
Exactly. This has been fun, guys. This has been fun.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being here. We've absolutely loved having you on the show. And I know without a doubt that people are going to get so much information and value out of what you've shared with us. So thank you so much for being part of Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. And as always, thank you so much, everybody, for joining while we're fueling your success. We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.